What we are advocating for as a consortium, but individually with our own elected officials as well, is that the federal role is pivotal, is very vital to making sure that ed policy is really set for our nation, but it should be limited in its role, meaning that states should have the flexibility to make sure they're holding districts accountable, but real true work happens at the local level, so that we're not scaling back those innovation efforts that are happening at the local level, that we actually go back and revisit the number of assessments that we're giving young people, so that we may not necessarily be annual assessments in terms of giving them to kids, but we look at point-in-time assessments, making sure that kids are ready for kindergarten, which there's much talk around the country now around pre-K opportunities for young people, making sure they're reading on grade level by the end of third grade, that they're prepared for middle school, that they're prepared for high school, and then also they're prepared to leave us and enter into the world of work or college or careers with some type of end of course success assessment for high school. I think that current federal policy in terms of ESEA and No Child Left Behind has really set the stage that we have to look at all students. But right now we're at a time where we have to look at what potential changes need to take place in order to make sure that our students are prepared for the next generation. First thing is making sure that the federal government basically sets the expectation that college and career readiness outcomes are essential and vital to all of the nation's students. Holding states accountable, meaning through their federal regulations with Title I, Title II, Title III dollars, even Perkins funds that school systems receive and states receive, but that you ease some of the restrictions that we have to do in many cases in terms of being handcuffed to do some of that work. We talk a lot around teacher and principal quality, working with institutions of higher learning to make sure our teachers are trained and that appropriate professional development supports are there, but we have to make sure that Title II dollars are easing with the restrictions so we can actually do some of that work. But also looking at, again, the number of annual assessments that we give students every single year. You never want, and we heard from a student today, where students are stressed because so much is geared toward one assessment on one day throughout the school year. Well, in many cases, they're going to school for well over 180 days, and we only make sure that one day counts. That's not fair to the other 179 days. So again, making sure these point-in-time assessments are there. The federal government's role is clarified that it's vital, making sure the expectation level set, but then holding states accountable to making sure that individual school systems are building frameworks that work for them and their communities that actually drive innovation. This is a time in education where it's so pivotal that we go back, we look at what we've learned from ESEA, what we've learned from NCLB, but we really think about the people and not the programs as we do the work. You know, I'm really big on making sure that superintendents and higher-ups in terms of policymakers, we're making appropriate decisions to really make sure that principals and teachers have what they need in order to do the work. So the support, the resources, the tools in order to drive student achievement, to really close those gaps and make sure students are growing, that's our job at the superintendent level, but also at the policymaker level as well too. But we can't forget that it's people, not programs, that actually drive this work. And sometimes when we're having this conversation around accountability, we have to make sure that we're stressing the fact that as educators, we want accountability. We encourage it, and that's the work of the consortium, where we're saying we want to be held accountable. At the same time, it has to be fair, it has to be equitable to all parties.